Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Thursday, September 14th. I'm your host, Jon Jeune, and of course, without a doubt, got my guy, Greg Pennamon, with me. Greg, how we feeling today, bro?
Feeling good. Got Eagles, Minnesota tonight. Get to see primetime Kirk in action. So hopefully he can continue to rewrite that script. I mean, yeah, I remember that Thanksgiving game was like his one game. People were like, "Oh man, we can't play Kirk," and he actually played one of his best games of his career. So maybe he's hopefully he can continue to turn that tonight.
Hey man, maybe we got a little trend going on, and I don't know. I have a feeling we'll talk about Kirk Cousins a little later in this show, but not for a Thursday night breakdown because we already did that. So if you want to go listen to that, make sure you go back in episode 320 and go listen to that right there. Obviously, you know, if you're watching live, we appreciate that, of course. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all that fun stuff. Just make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Make the show interactive, right? Ask some questions. You know, we'll do the best that we can to with the time we're allotted here to answer some of those. But you know, definitely want to make sure you're tapped in and you want to hit subscribe on all of our content, whether it's the video content or the podcast content. So without further ado, we are going to kind of jump in to the games, but do want to touch on a game that we talked about yesterday. That was the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. Seems that Aaron Jones was a DNP again today. If he can get a limited practice in, it might give him a shot to play on Sunday, but definitely going to make arrangements there. If you don't have Aaron Jones, or if you do have Aaron Jones, hopefully you have A.J. Dillon. If you have A.J. Dillon on your bench and you don't have Aaron Jones, this brings A.J. Dillon into the RB2 conversation. We did talk about that game and what it would mean for Jordan Love and those pieces if Christian Watson, who, again, a DNP, looks like he's going to miss this game, and Aaron Jones are out. So, you know, we're not going to touch on that here, but you can go back and listen to that. And then Austin Eckler, we're still waiting to see word on his practice availability. Chargers are on the West Coast, so their practices tend to be a little bit later than, relative to us who are on the East Coast here. So definitely want to, see what happens there with Austin Eckler and see if, obviously he can go this week. High ankle sprain, though, seems kind of unlikely. But let's start breaking down some of the games here. And the first game here we have is the Los Angeles Rams, who take on the San Francisco 49ers this week in a game that has a 44-point total, where the 49ers are 8-point favorites. Greg, where are you with this matchup here in terms of
give me the over actually in this game. Give me the Rams to cover, but the Niners to win. Just a divisional battle here. I think the Rams are better than people expected. They did give Seattle that work last week, so I think they can cover here. But I'm still taking San Fran to win.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over here. I'm gonna actually take San Fran to cover. I'm gonna take San Fran to win. I mean, San Fran's just been. I mean, if you take out the Brock Purdy injury last year in the NFC Championship game, they've been dominant. Even going back to last year. I think they continue to keep that up this week. Obviously, no Cooper Kupp this week for the Rams. He's on injured reserve. Greg, I know Puka Nacua had the strong outing last week, 15 targets, 10 catches, over 100 receiving yards. How are you treating him this week in what's supposed to be a tough matchup against San Francisco?
I think I'm throwing him out there as a flex. I think just the fact that no Cooper Kupp still, Van Jefferson still hasn't established a true role in this offense. I think Matthew Stafford and Puka have developed a rapport last game. I think that's not a fluke. I think he's going to get targeted. So the volume would be there for him to get targets. So I would expect a like a low end flex day for him. He's definitely going against a tough defense. But if Stafford could get the ball out off of that defensive line, he'll have opportunities there.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think Puka is I still have him as a strong wide receiver too, just because of that. If he continues to see that volume, um, then I'm pretty much all in there.
Yeah.
And I have those. What do you do with Tutu Atwell? I mean, he's a guy had a 21% target share last week. Was heavily involved. He's been the deep threat for this team. Had averaged over 19 yards a catch. Are you looking at him this week for any potential upside?
Uh, it's tough. I mean, I could see one doing well, two, both of them having top 30 days. I think it is tough for me. I think Puka can finish as that top 30 guy. I think Tutu I was more of a wide receiver 3 for me. So, but yeah, I think both of them I would consider before Van Jeff for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Tutu Atwell for me is a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 rather, with some wide receiver 2 upside, for sure. But definitely, not you don't want to make a living going in the teeth of this San Fran defense for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
How are you treating Matthew Stafford as a result of this, and how you look at his receivers?
For down the line, I think he's gonna have a bounce back year as far as fantasy. This week I probably would try to avoid him. I mean, I wouldn't go too hard unless you're really desperate to find an option. But I still would take in the same game. I'd take Brock Purdy basically.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Stafford's probably a low end QB2. Um, so I agree with what you said there. I'm not very much into Tyler Higbee this week. I know he was my start of the week last week, but I'm not into him. So naturally he'll go off for, a buck 19 and like 3 touchdowns this week. But do you have any interest in Tyler Higbee this week?
No, not too much. In the tight end game. For the running backs too, I'm all about Kyron Williams too.
Yeah, I'm Kyron Williams, greater sign Cam Akers this week as well.
Yeah,
Obviously, Cam Akers had the larger share of the rushing, but that was after they had pretty much got out to a lead there, and Cam Akers was pretty much killing the clock and his yards per carry. So I'm gonna go with Kyron Williams there as well. On the San Fran side, I mean, CMC top 3 option. Last week you were Debo over Ayuk. Are you treating that the same this week, or do you think Ayuk has cemented himself as the number 1 target?
yeah. I think I'm with Ayuk being the number one guy. He's got another favorable matchup here again. So I think I'm all for Ayuk being a strong wide receiver too, with some wide receiver 1 upside.
Yeah, I'm gonna rank Ayuk as a wide receiver 1 this week. I think the volume is gonna be there. I think, Purdy's clearly comfortable with him. Obviously, he's not gonna score 2 touchdowns every week. But I think the target volume was there enough for him to have some wide receiver 1 upside this week. Debo Samuel, I will treat him as a wide receiver 2. He does have a tendency to have big games against the Rams, so be on the lookout for that. But I will treat him as a wide receiver 2. And then George Kittle, I think he was limited in his first game back. I think he'll ascend to a tight end 1 week this week with Brock Purdy. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna rank Brock Purdy as a QB1 until he proves me otherwise. I mean, even going back to last year, you could say, "Oh, this matchup is tough. That matchup is tough. That he's way too efficient." But until the pixie dust runs out, like, I'm playing him.
You got to, yeah. At this point, you got to keep rolling him out there. He was very efficient last week, but still, 220, 2 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised he's 250, 2 touchdown performance again.
Yeah, definitely would not be surprised there. All right, let's move on to this next game here. The 0-1 New York Giants traveling to Arizona to take on the 0-1 Arizona Cardinals. This game has a 39.5 point total, where the Giants are 6 point favorites. Greg, well, I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to take the Giants to cover the 6 points. I will take the Giants to win. I did go back and forth on this game because Arizona was toe to toe with Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we saw we saw the performance that the Giants had put out there on Sunday. Now, if I think if Brian Daboll is the coach I think he is, he's going to have his team ready to play against an Arizona team that they shouldn't even be messing around with. You should beat them handedly.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Giants to cover, Giants to win. I think they do put up a lot of points here, and the offense kind of explodes and does what I have to do against this inferior Cardinals defense.
Yeah. So that being said, I mean, on the Arizona side, it's for me personally, it's really just James Conner. Like
James Conner,
I
James
want
Conner.
no part of this passing game whatsoever.
He's got a good matchup too, so I like James Conner as a borderline RB1, high in RB2.
Now, from a season-long perspective, how are you handling Marquise Brown, right? Because he's a guy that was probably drafted in the 30s, in the top 30s at the receiver position. But you have not gotten anywhere close to that production through 1 week. Obviously, it's only been 1 week, and we're not interested in playing him this week. How do you treat him as the rest of the season?
It's tough sometimes with receivers on bad teams. Sometimes it works out, like the D Hop all throughout the years, Nico Collins. But yeah, I don't know if I can kind of upgrade him to that top 30 until I see it.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's going to sit on my bench for now. The one thing I do believe is a possibility is that Arizona's selling, right? And they're clearly tanking. He's a player who's in the last year of his deal, has made it known he wants a new contract. Like, I could see a world where he's shipped off at some point during the season and ends up in a much better situation than he is right now. Obviously, you don't want to make any decisions with based off of that. But if you've got the room to keep him on your roster, I definitely would do that. And if he's a guy that gets dropped and I see him available, I might pick him up just on the off chance that a trade does happen. But I don't know, Greg, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have him rostered in any of my leagues, but if I probably give him to like a week 3, week 4, see what's going on, and then if I have the space to do it, I'll hold. But he's gonna be on my bench. By that time, though, I probably cut loose with him and cut him because he's just not helping my team in any way.
Yeah,
Unless I'm 4-0, just cruising right now. So yeah.
yeah, definitely. Now, outside of Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, do you have any other interest in any other Giants pieces?
No, not yet. I think I still want to see it from Jalen Hyatt. I think he's still a stash for me. I feel like this is week 1 for the Giants, really offensively. So we're gonna see what we can do.
Now, Daniel Jones, are you starting him, treating him as a QB1, or is he more like QB2?
I think he bounces back tremendously here. Has a QB1 performance, borderline QB1. Yeah, shows what he can do. Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's always the bounce back week. Always the second week. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna have him lower this week. I think I'm gonna have him in QB2 territory. So that would make him startable for me in 2 quarterback leagues, or leagues where you may be you really need a quarterback or you're desperate. But I think I would go your stream of the week Mac Jones over him. I'd go Brock Purdy over him. I think there's a few other guys that I would like to, Baker Mayfield, my stream of the week, I would start over Daniel Jones. So I'm definitely curious to see how it turns out in this week for him. But we'll just have to wait and see for sure.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to this next game. The 1-0 New York Jets travel to. When's the last time the Jets were 1-0? Anyway, travel to Dallas to take on the 1-0 Dallas Cowboys. This game has a 39.5 point total, where the Dallas Cowboys are 9.5 point home favorites here. Before we get into this side, we do have a question. Kenson asks, where do the Jets go from here now that Rodgers is out?
It's like a football question.
This is a football question. The Jets are 100% seem to be going all in on Zach Wilson and the Zach Wilson experience. So there have been talks about them trying to get a veteran quarterback, but Robert Saleh, the head coach, has made it clear that that would only be to add depth to the quarterback room, not to add competition for Zach Wilson. So I guess we're all just going to ride the Zach Wilson experience for as long as the Jets are willing to let us ride it. Greg, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm always hearing the Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke, those guys. I think Matthew Stafford, if they traded for him, I think those three guys, if they were able to get him, that would be the only option to start over Zach Wilson. But if you're not going to go out and get one of those guys, you got to roll with Zach. Got the most rapport in with the team. You would think he's gotten better from last year. I wouldn't take your last week as a what's going to happen this year. You literally be thrown into the fire like last week. So I think this week is better assessment, especially against a high level defense. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, last week, like you said, Monday he was thrown into the fire off the bench.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Four plays into the game, like
my man was not expecting to play at all.
To play. Yeah. I mean, I was sitting in the stands like, I hope he wasn't out partying last night because, but like you said, that's a tough situation, and this matchup is definitely a tough one as well. So, Greg, I'm going to ask you, where do you go with this one?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Jets to cover, but I'm gonna take the Cowboys to win the game. Yeah,
I see it the same way. Taking the under, taking the Jets to cover the 9.5. I just think 9.5 is a lot.
Yeah.
And then I think Dallas does ultimately win this game, though. On the Dallas side, right? Like, any concerns going at this Jets defense, or are you? Yeah, let me just talk
down. Everyone gets bumped down. I think position wise from what they normally are. If you're playing the Jets defense, I think. So I would try, especially Dak. I'm not going out to try to play Dak. I'm not. CeeDee Lamb is probably the only one I start, and that's even as a flex. Like that's how good this defense is going to be. I mean, Stephon Diggs was able to get some of his last week, so I think CeeDee Lamb could be seen as a low end wide receiver 2 flex option, and then Jake Ferguson as a low end tight end 1, some upside there. But that's it.
No Pollard.
It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, I don't think I'll bench him, but yeah, he's also in flex conversation with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna treat the CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard as ones at their position, just because you're just hoping that they get enough volume, right? The same thing with Stephon Diggs, where you just hoped that he would get enough volume, enough work, maybe catch a touchdown, where his day is not bad, right? And so I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be in a similar situation. The usage should be there. I think Dak. I think I agree with you, Dak Prescott. I'm not playing him. Tony Pollard, he's another guy. I think the volume should be there, and he should make his way. Should have a day in terms of receptions as well. I do like Jake Ferguson to have some tight end 1 upside, but like you said, that's pretty much it. On the Jets side, though,
Reese and Garrett Wilson all year.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's it, really, right? But Breece Hall, I think you got to treat him as an RB1 potentially, because very similar. The matchup may be tough, but you're hoping that the volume and the efficiency that he gets, and maybe he gets in the end zone as well. I think you have to treat him as an RB1. Garrett Wilson, though, gonna be a wide receiver 3 for me. He caught all 5 of his targets last week for 34 yards. Did catch his first touchdown from Zach Wilson on Monday. So it's going to be tough sledding rest away for Garrett Wilson, but I think he's a wide receiver 3, and the talent level, I think you want him in your lineup.
Yeah, I think this is probably a good chance to try to maybe buy low on Garrett Wilson, just because played tough defense this week. I think there should be more opportunities down the line for Garrett Wilson to have some wide receiver 1 weeks.
Hey, don't tell me that, Greg, because I will buy. I will go buy. Any interest in Dalvin Cook as a potential flex option or RB3 here?
I think RB3. He's going to get the carries. So I think he'll still get 10 to 15 carries. Just they want to run the ball. I think that's what they want to do. Brees has obviously got way much higher upside. But yeah, I think RB3 conversation.
Yeah, I agree there. Dalvin Cook's going to be an RB3 for me this week. I think this offensive philosophy is going to shift, right? I mean, Robert Saleh had talked about in the game plan going into Buffalo or going into the Buffalo game was to run a lot of empty, a lot of wide receivers on the field, a lot of 3 receiver sets. But I think we saw at halftime that changed. They went a lot of 13 personnel, which meant 1 running back, 3 tight ends. They got into a lot of 2-back sets. They're going to try to close this offense instead of being spread wide open, and they're going to try to run the ball down teams' throats. And so I said it when they signed Dalvin Cook that I think that was their answer to not signing a veteran backup quarterback, because everyone was like, oh, well, if Aaron Rodgers goes down, what are you going to do at quarterback? Like, you're just going to hand the keys back to Zach Wilson. I think that the Dalvin Cook signing was not just to get Brees, not just so they didn't have to rush Brees right out the gate, but also if Rodgers does go down, which he did, that this offense, you're going to hand the ball off 35 times a game between Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook. Like, I think that's the formula for winning here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to this next matchup here. We've got the 1-0 Washington Commanders traveling to Denver to take on the 0-1 Denver Broncos. This game has a 38.5 point total, where the Denver Broncos are 3.5 point home favorites here. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take Washington to cover 3.5, but I will take Denver to win this game. Greg, how do you see this matchup playing out?
Yeah, I'm also with Washington. With the under here. Washington to cover, but I'm gonna take Washington to win the game. Tough on the road, but I think they can get it done.
Definitely going to be a tough one on the road here. How I guess on the Washington side, Brian Robinson, obviously he operated as the guy last week. Antonio Gibson did not play well in that matchup. Are you treating Robinson as the RB1 this week, and what are you doing with Antonio Gibson?
Yeah, I think Brian Robinson's got the lean on that. I think he's the one in this offense right now. Just the way he played, Antonio Gibson fumbled the ball too. That didn't help. So I'm gonna roll him out there as a low on RB2, and then AG. He's not a bench candidate yet, but I think I'm gonna stash him and keep him on the bench for this week.
You mean you don't think he's a cut candidate yet?
Cut. Yes, cut.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Brian Robinson is going to be in my lineup as an RB1, borderline RB1, RB2. Antonio Gibson going to be on my bench this week while we kind of wait and see. What are you doing with the receiver position? Terry McLaurin, first game, there was a concern about the turf toe. Played a decent amount percentage of the snaps. Jahan Dotson, though, was statistically the number 1 receiver. Do you see that trend continuing, or are you Terry McLaurin over Jahan Dotson this week?
This is like the toughest wide receiver situation, I think, because Curtis Samuel even had, I think, the highest receiving yards. He had 54 yards, 5 receptions. So he even had some flex value last week. So it's tough. I think I'm a lean Terry McLaurin just based off talent and everything. But Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. If there was a way I don't have to play any of them, I would. But I think actually thinking about it, Pastor Tam's probably going to be on Terry McLaurin. So it's probably going to be Jahan Dotson getting some good matchups. He'd be the flex for me. And then Curtis Samuel be an option in deeper leagues.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too, right? I think I would naturally want to have them ranked Terry as the wide receiver 2, Jahan Dotson as a wide receiver 3. But if PS2 is going to be on Terry McLaurin for the whole game, that might make you lean more Jahan Dotson there. So I do think Dotson has, is a wide. I'll treat Dotson as a wide receiver 3. I'll probably treat Terry as a wide receiver 3 as well because of the tough matchup. Any interest in Sam Howell finished as a borderline QB1, or no, he did finish as a QB1 last week. Any interest in rolling him out there again against the Denver defense?
Yeah, we talk about like low. It was a low scoring week for QBs. I think I'm a hold off on starting him on the road against Denver.
Yeah. What about two quarterback leagues? Are you Sam Howell, Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones. I would take Daniel Jones over him. I'd take Sam Howell over Russell Wilson in this game, though, probably.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the Denver side actually, because yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't think I can play Russell Wilson this week against Washington. I don't think. How are you treating Cortland Sutton this week in this matchup against Washington?
Wide receiver 3. And as far as the running backs, Javante, I think is a RB3 and Samaje as well. They're kind of both in that RB3 range for me.
Yeah, it's tough when you got these two-man backfields because they both can't. I mean, they both can obviously finish as RB1s. If they have a really big game and touchdowns fall that way. But I will probably have them both ranked as RB2s. I'll have Javante slightly ahead of Piron.
Yeah, I agree.
But one of them is going to finish as an RB3, and the other one might finish as an RB2 with some RB1 upside, depending on how the touchdowns fall. Troutman, any interest there with Dulcich being out with a few weeks with the knee injury?
No, not really.
I think he could be interesting. Obviously there's a bunch of different directions you can go at the tight end position. If you're in a deep league, like 14 teams, 16 teams, I think Troutman makes a ton of sense with Dulcich out. But yeah, I'm not clamoring to play him over guys like Sam Laporta or Luke Musgrave. I'll even take my guy Durham Smythe over him.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Logan Thomas? Didn't talk about him, but he had a resurrection last week, it seems.
He did. I mean, there's like last couple of years, I think he's had spotty weeks, just like every other kind of streaming tight end. So I think if you want to take the shot on him, I think it's worth it as a tight end 2, high end tight end 2.
No, it makes a ton of sense. All right, let's move on to this next matchup here. The 1-0 Miami Dolphins traveling to New England to take on the 0-1 New England Patriots on a game that is taking place on Sunday Night Football. This game has a 46.5-point total where the Miami Dolphins are 2-point favorites on the road here. Greg, where are you leaning with this matchup?
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Dolphins to cover and the Dolphins to win.
I am 100% in agreement with you there. Tua, QB1.
Fire him up.
Tyreek Hill, wide receiver
Fire him
1.
up.
Jalen Waddle, a wide receiver 2.
Yeah. Strong wide receiver 2.
And are you riding the train with me this week with my guy Durham Smythe as my stream?
Yeah. I do like all the passing game options here. Not touching the running game though.
Yeah, that's the tough one, right? I think in an offense like this, explosive offense like this, it would make sense to go after one of the running backs. Raheem Mostert seems to be banged up. If he does go, I will play him as an RB3. But if he doesn't go, then I'm going to kind of just see how it plays out because Salvin Ahmed is operating as the backup running back. But, Devon A-Chain was healthy scratch last week. And if Mostert is out, then do they activate A-Chain? And how does that backfield split work out? So not really sure there. But on the New England side, obviously Mac Jones, he's your quarterback stream of the week. I think he has QB1 upside this week. I think Ramondre Stevenson, he's got to be an RB1 this week in what should be a great matchup here against a Miami defense that has struggled to stop the run since last year. Zeke Elliott, any interest there in him as an RB3, RB2?
RB3. I'm thinking you're banking on a touchdown here. I think when you're playing Zeke, and then for the receivers, give me Kendrick Bourne, man. I'm all in with him right now as being a flex conversation. Probably low end wide receiver 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Juju was uninspiring last week. 7 targets, had 4 catches for 33 yards. I think I said 7 for 40 something last week.
Yeah. That's gonna be the average stat line, I think, all year.
If he
Kind of in there.
continues to play, there was a report that came out that the Patriots view him as their like 5th best pass catcher.
Wow.
Yeah. So Juju's going to be on my bench this week. Unless I see something different out of this game. Hunter Henry, are you going back to that well, or do you think that was a one-off?
No, I'm going back to that well. I mean, I think there's got to be another pass catcher to step up besides Kendrick Bourne. I think Hunter Henry's that guy. They play a lot of tight end sets, so yeah.
Definitely agree there. All right, let's talk about this next matchup here. We have the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. This game is the first game of a Monday night doubleheader. I think we now get the doubleheader in week 2 instead of week 1. This game kicks off at 7:15 p.m. So, Greg, where are you going with this matchup here?
This matchup, I'm gonna take the under as well. Again, I'm gonna take the Saints to cover and the Saints to win.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Taking the under, taking the Saints to cover, Saints to win. On the Saints side, Derek Carr is super intriguing. He was strong start of the week consideration for me this week, but I feel like every time I've made Derek Carr a start of the week, it has literally
historically, yeah,
never
me
worked
too. Same
out.
here. Same here.
So I do like the upside. So wink, wink. Don't start Derek Carr this week. Greg, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think he's going to have opportunities here. I think Carolina's D line is pretty solid, so I won't say all the way like QB1. I think he's more of like a high end QB2 with some like borderline QB1 upside, 13, 14 range. Yeah, I think that's where he is. He threw for 305 last week, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And then how are you treating the receivers? I mean, Chris Olave, he's clearly the wide receiver one in the offense, right?
Yeah.
Had a 30% target share last week. But then Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas were both, pretty equal in terms of their distribution of targets. Do you lean one guy over the other, or do you see both these guys as playable?
I think I'm leaning Shaheed a little bit more just off upside and deep play activity. I think we all saw that clip with Derek Carr telling Shaheed to go long at the end of the game. So just run. So I think that's something Derek Carr wants to continue to thrive on. So having that ability is nice.
Yeah, that clip was hilarious. He's just like, "Yo, Shaheed, hey, let's get Shaheed on a go. Let's get him on a go." And then Jameis is like, "Yep,
yep." Yep.
Oh man, that was great. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Shaheed has the upside. If you need like 8 to 10 points, put Michael Thomas in there. If you need like 15, 16, 18 points, I would put Shaheed in my lineup there. But come on, who really needs 8 to 10 points ever? Juwan Johnson, any interest there?
No, I'm gonna wait and see on him.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough when this offense trying to predict who's gonna see these targets week to week when there's so many options. And Kamara is not even here yet, so like it'll be even crazier when he gets here or when he returns from that suspension. On the Carolina side, Miles Sanders RB2 for you this week. Hayden Hurst, he's your tight end stream of the week this week. I think he's a tight end 1 option for sure. Chuba Hubbard did have some production last week, but I don't think I want to play him in a matchup like this against New Orleans. But I think what it showed is he should be rostered, in the event that Miles Sanders does suffer any kind of injury, because he does have somewhat of a role in this offense, and it's clear he's a top backup. But is there anybody else you're looking to in this Carolina offense against this New Orleans Saints defense?
I think receivers wise, it's tough. I mean, DJ Shark is questionable. Marshawn Lattimore then will probably latch on to maybe Mingo. If that's the case, then I'm not really a fan. But I do like Mingo season long.
Yeah, I like Mingo season long as well. Just not in this matchup here.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the last game of the week, the second of the doubleheader here. The 1-0 Cleveland Browns traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the 0-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, where this game has a 39.5-point total, and the Cleveland Browns are 2.5-point road favorites. Greg, where are you leaning with this matchup?
Yeah, keep smashing this under here, man. Like under, I'm gonna take Cleveland Browns to cover, Cleveland Browns to win. The defense is for real.
Yeah, definitely agree there with that one. I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the Cleveland to cover, Cleveland to win the matchup here. Where are you going though on the Cleveland side, right? Nick Chubb, obviously an RB1.
Nick Chubb,
Deshaun
yep.
Watson got in the end zone last week, which was able to help him finish as a QB1. But are you going back to the well with Deshaun Watson against this Pittsburgh defense?
Against Pittsburgh defense on the road, I mean, I think there's opportunities on the back end. I mean, the line obviously is solid with TJ Watt. And he did get that rushing touchdown, so that helps his day. So I think he can be high in QB2. I think he's definitely available for two quarterback leagues, for sure, just off his rushing and his floor.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a solid QB2 this week. How are you treating the wide receivers though? Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I think I have to see it first for really me to give him a start. I think Amari Cooper, I'd probably rank him maybe still top 30. So wide receiver 3.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. It is really
Yeah,
tough. I mean,
yeah.
it's like a coin toss. It feels like between these two guys. I probably lean Cooper because of the experience. But Elijah Moore,
He led in
obviously,
receiving yards last week with
yeah, led him in
43.
receiving yards, had 43. A lot of that was on big play. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna wait and see one more week, see how it goes between
Yeah.
these two guys. Njoku, is he off your radar? Only had a 10% target share last week. Any interest there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too confident in any of the Browns pass catchers, so like, yeah, I think I'm off of it for now. Tied in 2 for me.
All right, what about the Pittsburgh side?
I mean,
Again,
they would have to play better than last week, I would think, but they're also playing another great D line. So I think I'm gonna stay away from everyone. Obviously, Najee's gonna get volume, but even he struggled, and he's probably gonna struggle again this week. So I think he's more of a low end RB2, and then Pickens and Allen Robinson. So I'm going on the fact I think Deontay's not going to play. So Allen Robinson and George Pickens are both wide receiver 3s for me.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Deontay Johnson, Adam Schefter reported, is probably going to miss a few weeks. Allen Robinson was actually productive, led the Steelers in receiving yards last week. I think he's definitely a wide receiver 3 along with George Pickens there. Pat Freiermuth, I think, plays tight end, so you treat him as a tight end 1. But I'm in agreement with you. Najee's got to be an RB3, and it's really just because of the volume. Which hopefully he continues to get, because he's in somewhat of a timeshare now with Jaylen Warren, who the team is making a concerted effort to get on the field and get more touches. Anything else out of this game here?
No, I think this is also maybe a Najee buy low situation though, because after this, the schedule should get a little nicer.
Yeah,
Open up with San Fran and Cleveland is tough as a running back. Real tough as a running back.
I don't know if I could buy Najee though. What are you buying them for? Like peanuts?
A bag of change, yeah. Let's buy low, They got the Raiders next week, then the Texans. Both, the Texans are like the worst rush defense in the league. So, yeah, next 2 games should be good. And then Ravens and Rams.
Or maybe after next week you sell high on Najee.
After the Texans game, so 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
Yeah, you sell high on Najee. All right. we're just gonna get into that money time though starts of the week. But before we do, we got a question here. Mako J is saying, who should I start at flex? London, I'm assuming that's Drake London, Brian Robinson Jr., Romeo Dobbs, Zay Jones, Jaden Reed, or Zach Moss. That's a lot of options for a flex, but
Yeah, just one name.
you just need one name. I'm
Oh.
going with Brian Robinson.
But possibly dropping London.
Not dropping London. You're not dropping.
Like I'm saying, process of elimination, crossing
Yeah.
out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Crossing out
Yeah.
London, crossing out Reed. I think I'll go Zay Jones.
You're chasing that upside in that game.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's fair. I do say Brian Robinson. I think you're going to get enough volume there out of him in a game that should be close, low scoring. But Zay Jones will be in a high scoring affair between the Jags and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity there for some plays as well. But without further ado, let's get into the money time, those starts of the week. So, Greg, why don't you kick it off, man? What's your quarterback start of the week this week?
Gotta go, man, with my guy, Joe Shiesty, Joey B, going against Baltimore. First of all, we already know what this man does against the Baltimore Ravens. He has monster games versus them. I think this is just a good bounce back week for Joe Burrow and this whole Bengals offense. So I think he comes through. Think about last year. At least 2 years ago, was able to get 7 total touchdowns in the 2 matchups he had last year, going both over 200 yards in those games. High pass attempts, did well what he had to do. So I think I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow here against the Ravens.
Nice. And you know what the greatest thing about our new format is, Greg? We get Thursday night starts of the week. I get to do this now. So I'm going with Kirk Cousins against Philadelphia. And this one looks a little scary on the surface. But again, primetime Kirk Cousins. I think we got a Kirk Cousins performance here. Going back to Philly, where last year obviously didn't play well. But if you look at the last few weeks of the season, obviously Philadelphia played well into the postseason, making it all the way to the Super Bowl. But if you look at the last few weeks of the postseason, including and include week 1, Philadelphia has allowed the 4th most fantasy points to the quarterback position in that time span. This wasn't a great spot for him last year, but again, the Philadelphia defense not as strong as it was this time last year. They lost both their starting safeties, and in this game they lost. In their last game, they lost their best coverage linebacker, as well as Nakobe Dean, who also provides help as coverage as a linebacker. So I like the Minnesota coaching staff to make some adjustments this time around, and Kirk Cousins to have a Kirk Chains type performance and finish as top 7 quarterback this week.
Oof. Amen. I'm more power to you, more power to Kirk, really, not to you.
Greg, what about running back this week? What do you got?
Give me Rachaad White going against the Chicago Bears. I think this is a really great matchup for him. We saw what Aaron Jones was able to do against his Bears defense last week. Rachaad White going to get over 15 carries, going to get the volume. I think this is a good week for the entire Bucs offense. So they'll be in the red zone. They're going to have scoring opportunities. So give me Rachaad White as a RB1.
I like that, man. The volume was there last week. Should continue to see that volume. And like you said, in a good matchup against Chicago, should show out. For me, I'm going to go with James Cook going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. He had strong, in terms of he was clearly the number 1 running back in the Buffalo offense last week. But his usage was very much like an RB2 in terms of almost 70% of the team rush attempts. He was involved in 50% of the routes, saw 15% target share. That's some pretty good usage, and now gets a matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders that, if you go back to last year and include week 1, they've allowed the 5th most PPR points to the running back position. So definitely like this matchup for James Cook.
Yeah, James Cook definitely looked like one of the best running backs, the Bills have had in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's looking good.
Yes, sir. Greg, what about wide receiver? Where are you going this week?
Give me Nico Collins, man, going against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm just going to keep attacking Indianapolis Colts all year with these wide receivers, especially in quarterbacks on the perimeter. Calvin Ridley last week was able to get some good work. Nico Collins this week got 11 targets last week from CJ Stroud. That's really a good sign from especially a rookie quarterback. He's going to let it fly, and Nico Collins should get a lot of work and a lot of action against the Colts.
I like this one. I like this one a lot, man. Nico Collins balled last week and should have another good game this week. And you're going back to the Indianapolis well. Well, I'm going back to a well that you were in last week, and that's the Calvin Ridley well. Going again, believe it or not, though, this is not initially Greg's well. Calvin Ridley was a breakout for me a long time ago, so I'm not unfamiliar.
True.
Love this matchup this week and this game in general. Give me a piece of it any way I can get it, and I'm going with Calvin Ridley here.
Yeah, love Calvin Ridley all year. He's my guy for wide receivers. Like, he's gonna just keep balling out. I think he's got as far as ADP, he's gonna have the highest value for a wide receiver this year.
Like that. Greg, tight end start of the week, man. What do you got?
For tight end start of the week, give me Darren Waller, man. Give me Darren Waller against Arizona. This whole Giants offense is gonna have a redemption week 2 here. And that starts with Darren Waller, the reason why they got him, so he can be the top target and receptions guy for this team. Arizona, in the past used to be one of the worst defenses against tight end. I think just in general, they're a bad team. They're going to get exposed. So give me Darren Waller.
Greg going to the Arizona well, hoping it's not dry against the tight end position.
Right.
I think Darren Waller does have a good week and bounces back for fantasy managers that invested in him as a top 4, top 5 option at the position. For me, I'm going to go with my breakout tight end of the year, Sam Laporta, going up against Seattle. Rookie looked good in his first action, like we talked about last week against the Chiefs on Thursday night. Anticipating a bit more passing from Detroit in a game that looks like it could be a shootout. Last time these teams played, they combined for over 90 points last year in a 48-45 game. I like Laporta to improve on the 5 targets he had last week and get more involved in the offense as they start to ramp up.
Yeah, Sam Laporta, everyone's genius pick for all fantasy leagues. Hopefully, he comes through. Jared Goff should have a great game here, so I think Sam Laporta should be involved.
Like that one a lot, man. And now, without further ado, y'all know what time it is. It's time to play some Get Money.
Gotta stay hot.
So Greg won the matchup last week, and I got to try to find a way to even it up, man. So it is my first pick this week. This is a very important pick. And I know Greg very well. I like to think so. So I'm going to go with my wide receiver start of the week in Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
8,300.
Word. I like that there. Give me, for my RB1, give me Bijan Robinson going against Green Bay. Green Bay rush defense, it's non-existent.
No, I like that one there. At my second wide receiver, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,100, going up against Seattle.
I like that a lot. I'm gonna go with my wide receiver start of the week, Nico Collins, 6,200, going against Indy.
At running back, give me my running back start of the week, James Cook, 6,600, going up against Las Vegas.
Okay. At my second wide receiver spot, give me Brandon Ayuk, going against the Rams, 7,500.
Okay. At running back, my second running back, give me Breece Hall, 6,900, going up against the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. At my third wide receiver position, I'm gonna take Mike Evans again, 7,100, going against Chicago.
And we have our first snipe of the season.
Yes, sir, yo. Mike Evans, man. Again, want to get that straight? No, what? 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna have to remove him from that lineup, and I'm going to in my wide receiver, my third wide receiver, I'm gonna go with T. Higgins, 7,000, because I know where you're going at quarterback, so I might as well just try to get a piece of it the best way I can.
Smart. Yeah, hopefully a future Giant, by the way. Just saying. Just throwing it into the universe. Gotta speak it into existence. I'm gonna go at my second running back, James Conner. No, not my running back start of the week, but he has a good matchup here against the Giants. 6,400.
Yeah, I'm struggling right now for real. Like that whole Mike
Mike
Evans
Evans cheap.
he kind of really screwed me there. So okay. At quarterback, give me Lamar Jackson, 7,600.
Ooh, love it. Give me Luke Musgrave at tight end, 5,000, going against Atlanta.
In my flex, give me Chris Godwin, 6,300.
Yeah, he should also kill. For my flex, give me Josh Jacobs, 7,500, going against Buffalo.
At defense, give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 4,100.
Quarterback, give me Joe Shiesty, Joey B, 7,400, going against Baltimore.
And as my tight end, give me Sam Laporta, 5,100, going up against the Seattle Seahawks. My tight end start of the week.
And my defense, I'm gonna keep it rolling. Any defense I pick up in our league, I'm gonna just keep it rolling. Denver Broncos, 4,700, going against Washington.
Interesting, because you took Washington to win that game. So
yeah. They don't have to. They don't have to
win. I'm surprised you have no stacks there.
I know. Yeah, it's because Chase is gonna be mad expensive. I don't want to go that route. Yeah, I just didn't want to go that route with the pricing. Pricing is still pretty cheap right now, so I'm gonna just keep getting all these value plays at a good discount.
All right. Well, I will read off my roster. At quarterback, I got Lamar Jackson, 7,600, going up against Cincinnati. At running back, I've got James Cook, 6,600, going up against Las Vegas Raiders. He's my start of the week. At my second running back, I got Breece Hall, 6,900. At wide receiver, I got T. Higgins, 7,000. Second wide receiver, I got my wide receiver start of the week and Calvin Ridley, 8,300, going up against Kansas City. As my third wide receiver, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8,100, going up against Seattle. At tight end, I have Sam Laporta, 5,100, also my tight end start of the week, going up against the Seattle Seahawks. And then as my flex, I've got Chris Godwin going up against the Chicago Bears at 6,300. And then as my defense, I've got Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 4,100, also going up against the Chicago Bears.
Like it. At quarterback for me, Joey B, Joe Shiesty, 7,400, going against Baltimore. James Conner at my running back position, 6,400, going against the Giants. Bijan Robinson, 8,100, going against Green Bay. Nico Collins, 6,200, my wide receiver start of the week, going against Indy. Mike Evans, 7,100, going against Chicago. Brandon Ayuk, 7,500, going against the Rams. Luke Musgrave at 5,000, going against Atlanta. Josh Jacobs, 7,500 in my flex, going against Buffalo, and the Denver Broncos defense, 4,700, going against the Washington Commanders.
We shall see. This is the week 2. It only took week 2 for me to get sniped, and I had to completely change my lineup. I didn't completely change it.
Those usually when great things happen, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I had Baker in here with the Mike Evans stack, and then in my flex, I had T. Higgins. So I had to, shift some things around here. So I went from Mike Evans down to Chris Godwin, which saved me about $800. So with the extra $800, I moved Baker. I turned Baker to Lamar. So hence we're here.
Yeah, there you
go. Without further ado, y'all, we always appreciate you guys coming and tapping in with us. Football's on tonight. Make sure you enjoy some Thursday night football. Good luck this week. Make sure you take those Thursday night players out your flex, though. That's the important part. Don't want to lose that flexibility there. Greg, anything you want to add to the people before we close this one out for the weekend?
No, sir, man. I enjoyed this game. Enjoy week 2. Yeah, hopefully, Giants need to step up, man. That's all I got to say.
Well, that being said, I hope for Greg's sake that happens. I hope for my sake that the Jets at least show up. Don't lose by more than 9.5. Not because I'm betting on it, just because it would be good for my morale here. But other than that, y'all, we'll see y'all on Monday. Enjoy the game. We'll see you then. Talk to you later. Have a good one. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.